Somebody's calling my name.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Sounds like Matthew Henson.
Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Matthew Henson. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Matthew Henson. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Well, it sounds like Marcus Garvey.
Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Marcus Garvey. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Marcus Garvey. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Sounds like Malcolm.
Somebody's calling my name.
You know it
Sounds like Malcolm. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Malcolm. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like Kwame Nkrumah. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Kwame Nkrumah. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like Kwame Nkrumah. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's calling my name.
Brother Jeruba.
Somebody's calling my name.
David Stewart.
Somebody's calling my name.
John Lacey.
Somebody's calling my name.
Brother Amin.
Somebody's calling my name.
James Crosby.
Somebody's calling my name.
Brother Abrafo.
Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Amen Ra, we know what to do. We know what to do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Good morning, family. If you were not up, I know that woke you up. Thank you, Baba Jeff, once again, coming through with that beautiful, beautiful production. Welcome, everybody. Today is Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrated. Some of us are turned it into Black Love Day. Whatever it is that you celebrate, and I'm just always glad for a time for us to stop and think about some kindness and some love. It's never a bad day for that, right? So however you're celebrating the day, I hope that there is someone that you love that you're kind to, not only today, but every day. But it's not nothing wrong with being extra kind today, if that's how you are inclined. In the spirit of Umoja, we will continue with our affirmation with Mama Akanke and Baba Tai.
Good morning, we'll say. Before I do the affirmation, I do want to pass on a word from Minister Makalisi. Some of you might notice that he's not here this morning. I just want everybody to know that he and Sister Mary are fine. They are having an electricity problem in Virginia where they live, and that's why he couldn't make it this morning. Okay. But he wanted everybody to know that he's with us in spirit. Okay. We will know God's truth to be free and self-determined.
Creator, help us to remember the humanity, the glory and suffering of our ancestors, and to honor the struggle of our elders.
Let us strive to bring new vision and life to our people. Let there be peace and harmony among us.
Let us be loving, sharing, and creative. Let us work, study, and listen so we may learn, teach, and cultivate self-reliance.
Grant us power, O Holy One, as we struggle to resurrect our hearts and our homeland.
We will raise our children according to the needs of our nation with discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will strive to be living models of the new direction of our people.
We are an African people.
We are the children of God. Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you. Now we'll have the candle of justice with Minister Molly.
Uncle John Seneb, we'll say community, and we'll say family. I have the privilege of the first time being able to conduct the ritual of the lighting of the candle of justice. And even though I have witnessed quite a few of these, when it was my turn now to take it on, it has been a bit of a struggle. Yet I finally found some inspiration of who and what entity I wanted to honor with the lighting. Might be a bit of an unusual source. It was inspired by watching the circus that was called the Senate impeachment trial. And there they had honored a brother, Eugene Goldman, who was an officer with the Capitol Police, who heroically risked his own health and life to help protect those folks. And he was honored with the Congressional Gold Medal. And I thought many times when we, especially in the last few years because of Black Lives Matter, when we think of law enforcement, we tend to think of it as a source of hostility. And in many cases that is true. Yet sometimes we also forget that there are a lot of Black folks who work with law enforcement who are actually not hostile, who are actually supportive and helpful. And I'm thankful for them. So I decided to light the candle of justice this morning in honor of the love and the care that many of those folks may not get publicly, but do deserve because they are an important part of our community. The law enforcement members, and in particular, Mr. Eugene Goldman, who was an awesome example of how heroic and courageous we are in times of need. Ashe. So I'm going to light this candle, which has on it the visage of Shabaka, which, according to the great teaching that we had from our awesome instructor, Minister Hotep, that this was one of the significant people in the history of Kemet, the third Nubian king of Kemet in the 25th dynasty. So I'm going to use this candle this morning, now that I know who he is, thanks to the class, to light in honor of our justice. Hopefully these old candles will still light. All right. Uncle Johnson L. Ashe, Ashe, Rahotep community.
Ashe. Thank you for that wonderful, beautiful candle of justice. You did a wonderful job, Minister Molly. I don't know what you were worried about. I don't know why you were stressed out about it. You know, you always come in here and you tell us a story about how, oh, I didn't know what to say. And then all this brilliance just came out. So thank you for doing it once again. We will now be blessed with the beautiful sounds of the sounds of Ma'at.
Right, 1 second, y'all.
Yeah, just hit go.
All right. Thank you, David and Latrice, and the sounds of Ma'at. I cannot wait until we are back in our building again and I can actually hear them playing again in person. So thank you for that. We are now going to have our historical tribute. Baba Katubasi.
Greetings, we'll say family, we'll say community. Good morning to some, good afternoon to others, and welcome to all. This is the time in the we'll say community that's set aside for the historical tribute. And with the historical tribute, we strive to keep alive at least 5 generations of the history of our ancestors, that our people may have a source, a well to which to draw from. And this morning, historical tribute is a massive, towering personality. It's one that I have waited for others to do a presentation on. And given that none have, I am going to take this time to share just a bit of the personality of this ancestor. And Minister Imhotep has agreed to assist me this morning. We'll be sharing a few pictures, but not that many. You will have to. I only have words. I don't have a lot of pictures, so you'll have to attune your hearing a little more acutely, perhaps. And Minister, after I announce the ancestor, you can start sharing some of the pictures and just any kind of sequence and rotation that you want, but save the document for last until I request it. The focus of this morning historical tribute is none other than the great the sensational Dejahuti, Tehuti, Thoth, Hermes Trismegistos. And this Egyptian deity has fascinated me for many, many years. In this particular picture, we see him in the form of the ibis and with the disc and the moon, and we see him in classic form, his left foot forward, holding his palette and his stylus ready to record. Obviously, a character this big is not enough time to go through all the elements of that personality. And this shot, we see him as the ibis, again, with the moon disc above his head and the outstretched wings and the dual uraeus of Heru above him. And to the right, he seems to be offering praises and adulation, again, in his ibis form. The thing that is really always fascinated me about Tehuti, and I will refer to Tehuti, and this shot into the right is part of a papyrus painting that I've had for a number of years. I acquired it from Sister Keisha, and you can see it in the back of me, this particular shot on your right. And then the one next to him on the right is, again, Tehuti in his ibis form with the disc and the moon above. He's typically depicted as a human with, like I said, with the ibis head, but he generally has royal regalia with the classic tail that streams down from the back of the waist down to the ground. Now, I'll be citing from several different books, but mainly I'll be citing from this book, Ancient Future by Wayne Chandler. And I chose Chandler because Chandler has some of the more in-depth information on Tehuti in a continuous and in a compact form. And some of these other pieces you only get statements and quotes in different books about Tehuti. But Chandler takes time to really delve a little further into Tehuti as to what he was like in terms of what was known about Tehuti. And Chandler says, mythological tradition holds that during the antediluvian period was born the great Egyptian sage Tehuti. Tehuti, known to the Greeks as Hermes Thoth, became the principal lawgiver of Egypt, and in the tongue of the Africans, that land, Kemet. His axioms provide humanity with a comprehensive analysis of the nature of creation and the universe. He says that throughout the text of this book, the name Tehuti, Thoth, and Hermes are used interchangeably. I'll be referring to Chandler a little later, but this next book is a book called Egyptian Mythology by Paul Hamlin. And Hamlin says about Tehuti, he said, Tehuti remained the very model of a peaceful ruler. He ruled for about 3,000 years as a figure that's attributed to him. He said, Tehuti, endowed with complete knowledge and wisdom, invented all the arts, sciences, arithmetic, surveying, geometry, astronomy, soothsaying, magic, medicine, surgery, music with wind instruments and strings, drawing, and above all, he says, he invented writing, without which humanity will have run the risk of forgetting his doctrines and of losing the benefit of his discoveries. So we see that a man endowed with such abilities and such skills is truly and indeed amazing. And it's for this reason that some scholars and others have viewed Tehuti as simply as an icon of knowledge and wisdom. But it appears that there was a man that lived by the name of Tehuti. And again, I refer to Chandler. And Chandler says that he's citing a document by Sacinus, who is writing about Manetho. Sancellus says that Manetho knew stela in the land of Syria, inscribed in the sacred tongue in hieroglyphics, letters by Tehuti, the first Tehuti, and translated after the flood from the sacred tongue into the Greek tongue and set down in books by the son of Agathor Diamon, the second Tehuti. So that would seem to indicate that, yeah, he was not just some iconic figure, but he was someone who truly lived. And having lived that period of time, a lot of people, again, thinks that more than just one individual, that Tehuti may very well have been a school or organization and a cult. And there is good reason for that. And that brings me to the point that I wanted to get to and wanted to share with you all, because like me, many of you may not have uh, come across the vision of Tehuti, known as Pomandres. Now, Chandler says that these documents of Tehuti's writings have been known since the uh, 4th and 5th century BC. And other historians, ancient writers have made reference to the 42 books of Tehuti. But given the rampage and the savagery of Alexander the Greek, when he burned when they burned the great library in Egypt, many of Tehuti's writings was destroyed. But supposedly, 2 aspects of his writings did survive, one being called the Emerald Tablet and the other the Pathfinder. And from the Pathfinder, there's some 17 fragments that were taken out of that and formed into a common book that they call Pomandres, the vision of Tehuti. And so just want you to think that these ideas and these concepts that Tehuti is sharing proceed beyond the 500-year BC that the Westerners have known. And so I don't have time to go through the entire narrative. It's about 5 pages. So I'm only going to focus on the first page. And thank you, Minister. Minister Imhotep has that page up. And I'll just begin it. I'll read a couple of sentences and kind of let that digest and maybe share some ideas around it, the way it impresses upon me. Because when I had approached other scholars and had asked them about this document, one had said to me that, well, there's a problem with the translation. And boom, that was just kind of it. And another scholar said, well, the document is written in metaphors that is very difficult to understand. But none of that diminished my curiosity and my fascination for this narrative. And so we're just going to read some things from the first page and just using our own intuitive mind, see what we might glean from that. And I am mindful of the time that I am allotted, so I'm going to get right to it. It says, Hermes, which any place you find Hermes, I'm going to refer to as Tehuti. It says, Hermes, in search of divine truth, found himself seeking solitude in a rocky and desolate place. He came to a place of rest and gave himself over to meditation. Following the secret instructions of the temple, he gradually freed his higher consciousness from the bondage of his bodily senses, and thus released his divine nature, revealed to him the mysteries of the transcendental spheres. Now, just from those couple of sentences, and you can see it on the screen from yourself, what we can intuitively take from that without being confused and lost in metaphors and things of that nature, we see that Hermes was in search of divine truth. We see that he found himself in an isolated place. He wasn't in the palace. He wasn't in the gardens. He was in a desolate and isolated place. And he gave himself over and began to meditate. And through meditation, he freed his higher consciousness. And then these transcendental seers was revealed to him. Now, my interpretation of the transcendental spheres are the planets in the solar system. But let's continue on, because it's really dramatic. You know, I mean, as a writer and a poet, these types of writings, they really excite me. And so Tahiti continues. He says, as this process of unfoldment began to climax, Tahuti beheld a figure which seemed awe-inspiring and beyond approach. It was the great dragon, with wings stretching across the sky and light streaming from all directions from his body. The great dragon called Tahuti by name and asked him why he thus meditated upon the world mystery. And so we see here this notion and this concept of a dragon. And dragons are found in all cultures. They vary slight in the way that they are depicted. But another thing that has always fascinated me about dragons is, to date, to my knowledge, no remains of any dragons have ever been found. But yet dragons appear in all cultures. We found countless numbers of dinosaurs that date back to the Jurassic period, but we haven't found any dragons that fits the description of dragons that we find in the Asian culture, that we find in European culture, and we find depicted here. And this is probably one of the earliest depiction of a dragon is in this narrative. And it talks about the light streaming from all parts of his body. It's like a contained vessel that cannot contain the power of the light, and the light is just screaming. It must have been an awesome experience. It said the wings stretched across the sky, and light was shining from all parts of his body. So, you know, it's a heck of a spectacle. And we see that this dragon, in the form of the creator of the all, a representation of the all, knew Tahuti by name. So let's go on. He says, because I want to get to the end. Immensely humbled by this spectacle, Hermes prostrated himself before the dragon, beseeching it to reveal its identity. The great creature answered that it was Pomandres, the mind of the universe, the creative intelligence, and the absolute emperor of all things. Tahuti then besought Pomandres to disclose unto him the nature of the universe. The great dragon nodded its magnificent head, and its form immediately changed. Okay, so we take a little bit at that. Pomandres is telling Tahuti who he is. It says that it is the mind of the universe, the creative intelligence, and the absolute emperor of all things. And as Tahuti probed and asked for more questions, you see that the form of the dragon immediately changed. Continuing on, where the dragon had stood was now a glorious and pulsating radiance. Then Tahuti heard the voice of Pomandres, but his form was not revealed. The quote, I, thy God, am the light and the mind, which were before substance was divided from spirit, and darkness from light. And the word which appeared as a pillar of flame out of the darkness is the Son of God, born of the mystery of the mind. The name of that word is reason. Reason is the offspring of thought, and reason shall divide the light from the darkness and establish truth in the midst of the waters. And so we get a little bit more information from that passage, and that this instantaneous change from one physical form into a light form, and light exists at a higher frequency than material matter. So we're seeing a transmutation take place. We continue on. Pomandres is still speaking. Pomandres says, understand, O Tehuti, and meditate deeply upon the mystery. So it is that divine light that dwells in the midst of mortal darkness, and ignorance cannot divide them. The union of the world and the mind produces that mystery which is called life. Learn deeply of the mind and its mystery, for therein lies the secret of immortality. And so Tehuti receives some fairly specific instructions from Pomandres, and from the rest of the narrative and from the work that Tehuti did while he was here on earth and he passed on to others. It seems like he was following that creed. And my time is getting very short. So I'm going to skip to the end of the narrative. Like I said, it's only about 4 pages. And in closing, Tehuti, after responding to Pomandres, Tehuti says, Tehuti heard and replied, the sleep of the body is the somber watchfulness of the mind, and the shutting of my eyes reveal the true light. My silence is filled with budding light and hope. My silence is filled with budding life and hope, and is full of good. For this is the faithful account of what I received from my true mind, that is Pomandres, the great dragon, the Lord of the Word, through whom I became inspired with the truth. And so, whether Tehuti was a human being or just a icon, there's a tremendous amount of skills and knowledge and advice and guidance was left by this entity. And so on this day of the Valentine's Day, February 14, we want to pour a libation in remembrance of the great Tehuti and the teachings that he left behind that continue to inspire us today. Ashe. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Bazi. Minister Imhotep, he hasn't exactly volunteered, but I feel a Wednesday topic coming out of Baba Katubasi. You know, I know you're not asking for that, Baba, but I feel like you got enough of that to give us a Wednesday to really continue on. I think you've got some more to share. But thank you for whetting our appetite, which is what the historical tribute is meant to do. Sounds of Ma'at. What have you got for us at this moment? Unmute, David.
Look, I got to think fast. Give me just a moment, please.
Wait, are you saying you want me to say something impressive and
Well,
something that's
you don't have to say
to hold this group of Black people?
No, I'm quick, but just want to say this is a little flashback. We shared this once on a soul sessions. It features myself and a young Jeremiah. So have a little fun with it, y'all.
Staying on my purpose. Staying on my purpose. Staying on my purpose. Staying on my purpose. It's
You believe like I believe that you're here for a reason. The divine mind made space and time and everything in season. You're here to grow, stay in the flow, and recognize your blessings. Each day you live, born to give, keep on learning lessons. Staying on your purpose to be, staying on your purpose, I'll be staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose, staying on your purpose to be, staying on my purpose, I'll be staying on my purpose, the power's in staying on my purpose. If you know, like I know, love's a final answer. And if you feel that music heals and rhythm is a dancer, live today, make a way, ancestors are with you. Let this song keep you strong and let your faith lift you. Staying on your purpose, staying on your purpose, like I staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose, you'll be staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose, like I staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose. Got to be about, you know, you gotta be about it, time to wait. Got no time to waste, no time, no time, ever down and take your place, take your place. Got to be about it, got no time to wait, no time to wait, no doubt and stand up, take your place. You believe, I believe, you're here for a reason. Divine mind made place and time and everything in season. You're here to grow, stay in the flow and recognize your blessings. Each day you live, born to give, keep on learning lessons. Staying on your purpose to be, staying on your purpose, I'll be staying on my purpose. Staying on my purpose, staying on your purpose to be, staying on your purpose, I'll be staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose. If you know, like I know, love's a final answer, and you feel music heals, and rhythm is a dancer. Live today, make a way, ancestors are with you. Let this song keep you strong and let your faith lift you. Staying on your purpose to be, staying on your purpose, I'm staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose, you'll be staying on your purpose to be, staying on your purpose, I'm staying on my purpose, staying on my purpose. Staying on my purpose.
This is out to all the brothers
Staying on my purpose.
and sisters that got something to leave.
Your purpose. Staying on your purpose.
Songs out to y'all.
Staying on your purpose.
Hope you love it.
Staying on your purpose.
Keep it in mind, keep it in heart. It's a good song, man. Keep it through and through. You know, you'll need this song later in life. So this is out to you. Focus on your purpose. Don't be cutting up. BBP, business before play. I'm out.
All right. BBP, we out.
Hey,
Thank you.
I forgot to share my audio, huh?
No. We heard all of that.
Okay.
If there was some video, but we were good. No complaints here. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sounds of My Aunt. Thank you for
I gave somebody a smile.
the wise words of the youth at the end there. Thank you for that. So now we will have our litany of sacrifice. Sister Debbie and Baba Ed, are you ready to come to us this morning?
Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gifts that have been given to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the God of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all of our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you. We praise your name, O Amun Ra, for it is good.
Do you want, okay, so Umoja, unity. We shall strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Kujichagulia, self-determination. We shall define, name, create, and speak for ourselves.
Ujima, collective work and responsibility. We shall build and maintain our communities together. Our brothers and sisters' problems shall be ours to solve together.
Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Together we shall build and maintain our businesses and together profit from them.
Nia, purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community on the restoration of our people to our traditional greatness.
Kuumba, creativity. We shall do as much as we can in any way we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it.
Imani, faith. We will believe with all our hearts in our God, our people, and in the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Let us pray. The
Ashe.
to, I'm sorry. The information to send your sacrificial offering is on the screen. Please make sure you send it. We are all in need. Let us pray. We thank you, O Amun Ra, for these gifts, these sacrifices made to honor you. Since everything comes from you, returning this portion, we submit to your divine ordinance. Cover those who desire to give but were unable. Fill their coffers and give them peace. Now bless and multiply this seed to exceed our needs. And let us all say Amen and Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you, Sister Debbie, for that prayer. Thank you for offering those blessings over the contributions to our community. On behalf of both the Oakland and the Sacramento Council of Elders and larger community, we just thank each and every one of you for whatever it is that you're able to contribute to our community. It may be money, it may be time, it may be talent, whatever it is that you bring to your brothers and sisters through whatever way that you are able to bring it. I would just like you to know that on behalf of all of us, it will say that it is appreciated. And may we all be blessed for whatever contributions that we're able to make. So thank you. And with that, it is now the time of our service where we will receive our message. And the person bringing our message today is none other than our very own Minister Imhotep from Sacramento, Wose, and Oakland as well. Come and give us some information, brother. What do you have for us this morning?
Bless up, love up, live up. We started out with a love meditation, and we started out with people opening up their hearts. We had the wonderful libation. Baba Jeff, you just keep getting better and better with your videos. Give thanks for that. Baba Sydney, what an energetic person you are. Keep giving us the energy through prayer and through libation and through your messages. Mama Gita, thank you for leading the prayer. And Mama Kanke and Baba Tai. Minister Malley, you always do things so, you're just a cool brother, you know, you just, you know, you do things sometimes I wish I had done that like that. And of course, the Sounds of Mott. I love their music. You know, you've heard of Ashford and Simpson and Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell and all of those, but we got Latrice and David. And so we give thanks for that today. I want to share my screen, and there's a picture that I want us to focus on just for a few minutes. And that was a couple of pictures, and hopefully it'll open up. I received the news that Brother Peja has made his transition after a long struggle with several illnesses. And here he is with Mama Oyen, and there's Lila. And wow, I think I met Panya when she was a toddler. And there's Panya there. And then someone put together this nice collage of Brother Peja, and he struggled. He suffered amputation. He was a diabetic. He had post-traumatic syndrome from being in the war in Vietnam, but still, he was a great community activist and a lover of music. And those of you that went to his parties or were at the flea market, the Berkeley Ashby flea market, I heard someone say that they had gotten his tapes, and we're praying with the family today and from now on as they cope with the loss of their husband, father. And here's Panya, grown up, and she was taking care of her dad. So it's probably really difficult for her at this time. Okay, I want to go to, who is this guy? Let me get him off. Here, I want to talk about today a theme that was given to me by my mother. And the theme is, you've got to get your heart right. You've got to get your heart right. You know, you got to be a good person is what I interpreted her to tell me. And here we have the Ib. And this is how our ancestors along the Nile portrayed the Ib and the container for it. And I want to open up with this song written by Minister Makalisi. Minister Makalisi has a lot of hits, and this is his first hit for us here at Wosay, and you'll recognize some people. course, was sung, the soloist was Olaremi Hodari, and she was a singer that kind of patterned herself after Aretha Franklin. And I think she did such a great job on that. And the person that put the video together is Miss Mariana Souza. And I refer to her as Nisi because she calls me Big Uncle. And she has been around Wose for a long time. She grew up in Wose, and she kind of identifies with the Netcher segment. She's a Leo, and she identifies, correct me if I'm wrong, Mari, if you're here, and she identifies with the attributes of Sekhmet, being a fierce protector and a generous nurturer of children and those that are in need of it. And you can find out more information about her if you go to missmariana.today. She is an educator, she's a multimedia journalist, and she is an author. So when we interact sometimes, I send her pictures that people send me of Sekhmet. This is Sekhmet in her temple at Waset. Actually, both of these pictures are. The one on the right is a close-up that I took personally, and the one that's in the middle is in her temple that someone sent to me. And if you're there at the right time of day, you can actually see the light shining on her. As I said, Miss Mariana has been around Wose for such a long time, and all these kids have grown up now. And there's Mariana in the back here. And some of you know Brother Charles. There's Shakilia, Shambali and Shingarai's older sister. And there's Camille and Gabriella. And I'm trying to think, I'm Ashia. And that's Hassani back there. And there's Andrew and well, oh God, someone help me out with that name. And I know this is Camille's brother. Oh man. Anyway, it'll come to me later. So this was Mariana in the 90s. And you know, I heard Mariana. Let's go back here. This is she's kind of like the inspiration for this message, because she gives these kind of like talks. She does soulful sundowns, or she'll be talking in the car. And she was talking one day, and she used the phrase, "Know thyself." And I thought, yeah, I know why she would say that, because that's what we teach at Wose. We teach, and it comes out of Stolen Legacy. Those of you that are going to be going through the training with us, we're going to use two different versions of Stolen Legacy. We're going to use the original one that was reprinted by Richardson Press, Marcus Bookstore, with Dr. Asa Hilliard's introduction and the biography of Dr. George G.M. James. But we're also using an updated version that our own scholar, Professor Menu Ampim, he has he has a version of Stolen Legacy. And he addresses some of the things that Dr. George G.M. James was not aware of when he wrote the book in 1954. Now, contained in that book, we find these words. It says, every schoolboy believes when he hears or reads the command, know thyself, he is hearing or reading words which were uttered by Socrates. But the truth is that the Egyptian temples carried inscriptions on the outside addressed to neophytes, and among them was the injunction, know thyself. Socrates copied these words from the Egyptian temple and was not the author. All mystery temples inside and outside of Egypt carried such inscriptions, just like the weekly bulletins of our modern churches. And that is the information that we used. That was what we believed. That was what we taught. And on Facebook, this particular meme was being promulgated. And, you know, and I looked at it and it looks authentic, you know. It has the Medu Nature in here. The body is the temple of God within you. Therefore it is said, man, know thyself. And it has the transliteration under. And I know a little Medu Nature, and I see the P there, and this is an A, and the cot, and, you know, and so I asked, you know, I wanted to share it, but I didn't want to share it and it be incorrect. I don't want anything that I share with you, sisters and brothers, to be nothing but as correct and as right, as true as I can discover it. So I checked with my Saba, one of my Sabas, Dr. Ray Davis. And I sent it to him, and he basically said, hey, look, Imhotep, you know what? I don't want to be perpetrating a fraud. I don't want to be caught up. He says, I don't know where this comes from. He says, I've never seen this before. And, you know, basically, I don't have anything to do. I don't want to touch it. So, you know, I filed that away. And I got a chance to hang out with Dr. Karinga at Sacramento Black Caucus. We're giving a book fair a few years ago, and I had the privilege of picking Dr. Karinga and his wife, Tia Moyo, up from the airport and transported them to their hotel. And I took them to one hotel. They didn't like it. And I said, hey, I think this other place you might like. And they loved it. And then, you know, we had lunch, and I got to hang out with him, and I got to ask him questions. And when I was taking him back to the airport, I asked him I said, where on the temples in Kemet is it written, know thyself? And he kind of smiled to himself. And he says, well, brother, you know, you're going to have to, he said, that's something that was on the Temple of Delphi. He said, you're going to have to go back to the text. So I continued my journey to find out this information. And here is a picture of the Temple of Delphi. Certainly it's seen better days. And this is in Greece. And this is what is written about that. Know thyself, a popular phrase in the conscious community. Now we're the woke community, but when I was coming into consciousness, we referred to ourselves as the conscious community. A popular phrase in the conscious community, made popular by the Greek phrase kenothi, season that was inscribed in the court of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. In Kemet, this is expressed as Rek-e-m-ib-e, literally, know I within heart mind, but translated in English as know myself. I should note that ib has the meaning of the heart, but it is used as a metaphor for the inner parts of something, the essence of something, and the mind. To know your heart is to know your essence, or who and what you are. The phrase was popularized from the Greek Temple of Delphi as know thyself, but meant I have knowledge of my essence. For context around its meaning, see chapter 26 of the Per Imhu, the Book of the Dead. This is what Westerners call it. This is what Budge called it, where the deceased adores their own soul and hold their heart in their hands, speaking about the heart and knowing themselves, etc. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. All right. This is the ib, or the heart. In Stolen Legacies, he uses an A instead of an I. He calls it the ab. And this is how the ancestors, our ancestors along the Nile, portrayed it. Now, a word about the concept of Seba, and this is how you would write it in Medu Neter or the Suf language. It says Seba, an English hieroglyph. Possible meanings: star, doorway or portal, to teach or instruct, teaching or instruction, school, student or pupil, an instrument for surveying a transit. Seba, star. The Seba is the representation of star in Egyptian religious art. Patterned after a starfish with 5 equal distance spokes, the Seba was a symbol of constellations or star gods. Encircled in a circle, the Seba represented the Duat, or the other world, where the sun disappeared each night and to which the souls of the deceased ascended after death. The word Seba meaning learning or discipline, and it is associated with doorways and gateways. I first heard this definition given by the late great scholar, Dr. Asa G. Hilliard. And this is how the Duat is represented. So when you talk about heaven, that's what the Duat is. This is how it's represented. Now, my mom gave me the phrase, you've got to get your heart right. And here she is. My sister found this picture of our mother, and she put it in this beautiful frame. And last week, the 7th, February 7th, she would have been 91 years old. And so, and I'm sure if she was alive, she would not want me to say her age because she had a thing about age, but okay, Mom, you're on the other side now, I can say it. All right. And she knew I was into African things, and so she got this robe and fixed herself up. She's standing in front of our home, the home I grew up in, and she says, "Look, I can be African too." And so I love these pictures of her. But she gave me the phrase, "You've got to get your heart right." Now, I don't want to leave out other ancestors, so my and these are my Sekhmets. Both of my grandmothers were Leos, fierce and kind in their own right. And this is Sekhmet in her temple. And this is my my mom's mother. We called her mother. And her phrase was, "You've got to use your own brains." So those of you that are listening out there, you know, be careful what you say to your children. If you give them something positive, they tend to hold on to it, and it'll greatly enhance their life. And if you give them something negative, it will have that effect as well. And you notice, mother, she has a little bling. She had this gold tooth. And my father's mother, who we call Gran, in Washington, D.C., her words to me was, "You're my sun, moon, and stars." So I couldn't mention mom without mentioning these as well. Rek em ib e. I know what is in my heart. I know what is in my heart. And this is the phrase that's found on the Temple of Delphi. Know thyself, I warn you, whoever you are. Oh, you who wish to probe the arcanes of nature, if you do not find within yourself that which you seek, neither shall you be able to find it outside. If you ignore the excellencies in your own house, how do you intend to find other excellencies? In you is hidden the treasure of treasures. O man, know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and the gods. And this was inscribed on the Temple of Delphi. Rek em ib e. Rek em ib e. I know what is in my heart. Now, Dr. Theophile Obenga, who did us a great honor and service back a while, and maybe Professor Anu remembers the year because he would travel with him. But when Dr. Obenga was a visiting professor at San Francisco State, he came up to Sacramento 6 weeks straight, Friday and Saturday, back and forth, to teach us the Medu Neter. And I include him because this is all part of that know thyself. This is all part of it. And in this, on the back of this cover, it says, according to Dr. Obenga, the ancient Greeks traced all human inventions to the Egyptians, from calculus, geometry, astronomy, dice games, to writing. Since the time of Homer, Egyptian antiquity functioned strictly as a highly memorized component of Greek history. Herodotus said it, Plato confirmed it, and Aristotle never denied it. Indeed, in their book, A History of Modern World, R.R. Palmer and Joel Colton corroborate this historical truism by contending that Europeans were by no means pioneers of human civilization. Half of man's recorded history had passed before anyone in Europe could read and write. The priests of Egypt began to keep keep written records between 4000 and 3000 BC. Of course, it's much older than that. You know, that's a point of debate that I don't want to get into at this time. But you know, as you read on down, Plato studied at the Temple of Waset for 11 years. Aristotle was there for 11 to 13 years. Socrates, 15, Euclid, 10, you know. So the point, you get the point. They learned from us. And so it's not, Dr. James was not making a stretch of the imagination by saying, know thyself. It just wasn't precise. And that's what we are striving to get to. Now, this is a very good book, and it's not that big, but now because of Amazon and other things and bookstores being put out of business, this Ancient Egypt and Black Africa, this book is, you know, it's like $100 and some odd. But in there, we find Dr. Obinga pointing out that not even the word philosophy, and pick up on this, not even the word philosophy is a Greek word. And he points out how it cannot be explained in Greek or any other Indo-European language. And then he does an etymology. And he points out how the Egyptian P, let me get, this thing is in my way. The Egyptian F becomes the PH in Greek. And then he breaks down how Sabi, where have you heard that? Dr. Sabi means learned. Sophos, that's the Greek word. You know, you've heard of Sophia Loren. Oh, I didn't mean to click it. Go back. Go back. And so he points out how that word Saba is actually where they get the word Sophia, which means wisdom. Now, this is my current Saba. He was the tour guide when I went to Kemet. His name is Muhammad Fahmy, and here he is. We're at Waset, and he's going over a diagram. And here he's showing, this is at the Giza Plateau, and he's showing the only place where Hor-Em-Akhet is written. It's the only place where it's found, according to him. And then I asked him about it, and then he sent me this picture. Hor-Em-Akhet, and it's on this side of the wall too, on the archway. And then at another location at the Temple of Waset, he said this so easy. He says, life, stability, and health makes my heart happy. And when you go into the temple, before you go in, there's this large scale model to show you how big it is. And here's the sacred lake where people were baptized. There's another a view of it. And just to show you that there is yours truly walking among the columns there to show you how large it is. It's not only large acreage wise, but just the tallness of the buildings. And there's the sacred lake where the initiates were baptized in. Oh, wait a minute. You mean John the Baptist didn't start this? No. They were when you came in for initiation, for instruction, you're baptized in the sacred lake. So I asked Fahmy about that translation, Rec EMB, and he said the literal translation means I know what is in my heart. Ib also means self, mind, awareness, consciousness. And in the book Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and in the Upanishads, which means sitting near the teacher. Now, I want to pause for just a second. Some people say, well, why are you dealing with things from India and whatnot? George Jim James also points out in his notes here where all the lodges were. So Wasat, which most people call Luxor, it's an Arabic word, was the Grand Lodge. And then you had all these other lodges. And look where they were. Other parts of Africa, North America, South America, Australia, Mount Carmel, Palestine at Mount Carmel, Syria at Mount Hermon in Lebanon, Babylon, Media near the Red Sea, India along the banks of the Ganges, Burma, all these other places. So we carry that knowledge around the world. And in the caves of Ellora in India, we find this statue. This is Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu. And you see he's got his matted locks, which they refer to as jata, in his crown. And this gives you an idea of how large that, this is inside a cave that was carved from the inside. And this is part of the temple complex. And here are the people down there. This is what Africoid people did in the ancient times. So when we get to the writings that they did, it pertains to the heart. Concentration may also be obtained by fixing the mind upon the inner light, which is beyond sorrow. The ancient yogis believed that there was an actual center of spiritual consciousness called the Lotus of the heart, situated between the abdomen and the thorax, which was revealed in deep meditation. They claim that it had the form of a lotus and that it shone with an inner light. It is said to be beyond sorrow, and those who saw it were filled with extraordinary sense of peace and joy. Those who struggle and aspire may enter there. Retire in solitude. Seat yourself on a clean spot in a erect posture, the head and the neck in a straight line. Control the sense organs, bow in devotion to your teacher, then enter the lotus of the heart and meditate there on the presence of God, the pure, the infinite, the blissful. So I guess my mom had something, she had something going on when she said, you got to get your heart right. And then we continue within the city of God. I'll just use the word God, but that's an aspect of the God that's the creator. So that the statue that I showed you a couple of slides ago is the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. Within the city of the creator, which is the body, there is the heart. Within the heart, there is a little house. This little house has the shape of a lotus, and within it dwells that which should be sought after, inquired about, and realized. What then is that which dwells within this little house, this lotus of the heart? What is it that must be sought after, inquired about, and realized? Even so large as the universe outside is the universe within the lotus of the heart. Within it are heaven and earth, sun, moon, the lightning, and all the stars. Whatever is in the macrocosm is in this microcosm. I'm just going to keep on. You get the idea. Rek em ib e. I know what is in my heart. And in the Hebrew canon, for those of you that follow such things, Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Matthew 22:37. And this is just talking about, so Jesus was explaining some things, and the people were talking about if a woman dies and you know, her brother's supposed to marry her after he dies, and no, her husband's brother's supposed to marry her, and if that succession takes place 7 times, whose wife will she be in heaven? And Jesus said, stop all this predilection for irrelevancy, because you're not going to have the bodies like you have here on earth. And you know, so there a rabbi was there, a person who was a Sadducee, and so he asked him a question. He said, Rabbi, what is the most important? What is the greatest of all the commandments? And the reply was, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all of your mind. And the second greatest commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. In the book of Imhotep, and this is a little different than what is used in the Hosea Imhotep number 4, because it says, follow your heart as long as you live. Do not make a loss of what is said. Do not subtract time from following the heart. Harming its time is an offense to the Ka. Do not deflect the moment of every day beyond establishing your heart. As it happens, follow your heart. Mom said you got to get your heart right. And here, written in Medu Neter, follow your heart during the time of your existence. Follow your Ka during the time of your existence. Do not commit excesses regarding what has been prescribed. Do not shorten the time to follow your heart. To squander one's moment of action of the heart is an abomination to the Ka. Do not neglect your daily attention to spirit in an excessive manner to do house chores. Whatever happens, follow the heart. Events will not benefit the neglect. Follow your heart, your conscious, your Ka, your creative power all your life. Do what has to be done, but not to excess. Do not cut short the time spent on spiritual life, wasting time. Are you listening? Wasting time is an abomination to the Ka. Do not pervert the course of your day-to-day life by spending too long on mundane chores. Whatever happens, follow your heart and your consciousness. Things don't work out well for those who are lazy and neglect. And here, as Brother Katabazi explained, we see the Neter Chahudi, and what is he doing? He's recording the deeds of Anai as his heart is weighed on the feather of truth before the judges. He weighed out, and he is escorted to Wasir, who's backed up by his sisters Aset and Nebhet. Excuse me. Nebhet. And here are the sons of Heru. This is found in the Hosea. Oh, my heart, my mother, my heart, my mother, my heart, whereby I come into being. Stand not up against me as a witness, nor oppose me in the council of judgment. Weigh not heavy against me before the keeper of the balance. You are my divine essence, which dwells in my heart, the divine power which makes strong my limbs. When you come forth in the place of happiness where we go, may you not cause my name to send forth an offensive odor before those who assign people to their rightful place. Sisters and brothers, you want to be like this. You don't want your name to send forth an offensive odor. When people call your name, they say, oh God, you know. And then he goes on, he says, may it be favorable for us and the hearer be favorable to us, and there be joy at the weighing of the words. Let not falsehood be uttered against me before the great God, for surely your righteousness will cause you to rise up in triumph. The message today is you've got to get your heart right. Mom was right as always. Sisters and brothers, we all have to get our heart right. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Thank you, Minister. A very, very appropriate reminder on this day to keep our hearts right, to get our hearts right, and to keep our hearts right. Always on time. So the slide that you put up, that the line that I wanted to repeat was, do what has to be done, but not to excess. Don't cut short the time spent on spiritual life. Wasting time is an abomination of the Ka. So that's what I'm going to write on my board for the week. That's what I'm going to remind myself of, because I know that I can devote a little bit more directed time personally towards spirit, because if you don't exercise it, that muscle doesn't get stronger either. So that's how I'm going to take that. Thank you for the word. And we will now have Baba Sydney with an invitation.
Shay. Well, thank you very much, Mama Darnisha. And what a beautiful message laid out by our own minister, Imhotep, that he laid it out. And I think the important thing that stands out, as Mama Darnisha said, is it's about your heart. You know your heart, follow your heart. Within your heart is that spiritual intelligence, that intellectual seat that combines the spirit as well as the intellect, the mind, the soul, all in one. And this is that time in our service when we open up our doors, we extend our hands out to each and every one of you within the sound of our voice, that if you feel moved by the message today by Brother Minister Imhotep, if you feel moved by the songs today from the sounds of Ma'at, if you feel moved by the prayers, by the libation, if you feel moved by this community, that you open your heart up, that you extend your hands, and that you step forward and join us in this movement, and join us in our mission to actually bring about this consciousness within our own Black community. As we said, we're starting out, this is about Black love, folks. This is about loving yourselves, and we need more lovers of Black people, lovers of the community, those who want to, again, follow their hearts. And so at this point in time, we want to open up the doors for those who may be interested to identify yourself. If you could just raise your hand or make a sound or somehow reach out to Mama Darnisha through the chat and say that I'm interested. Our doors are open. We can always use more loving brothers and loving sisters to come in and join us within this movement. You saw the pictures shown by Minister Imhotep of the children that grew up within this community, the young and old. So we're opening our doors right now, asking that you step forward, acknowledge yourselves. Is there anyone that wants to step forward at this time? Shay. So the doors are open as we go along. If you may not want to jump in right now, but send a message, put something in the chat, let us know, and we'll reach back out to you. Baba Tai will reach out to you, contact you, and let you know how to join in on this movement. So again, we want to thank each and every one of you for coming in today. Our hearts are always open. This is about Black love on this day and every day forward. Follow your heart. If your heart says, I'm interested, then step forward. We love you. Enjoy the rest of the day. We love you. Ashe.
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 All right, well, lift every voice and sing the sounds of Ma'at.
It's not letting me get to it. Uh-oh. Sorry, fam. It's not letting me. It's not letting me go to another screen. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
All right, and now unto them who is able to lift us up faultlessly before the throne on high, may they empower us to be a people with one aim, one vision, one faith, one destiny, one love, one heart, one God. Let us call upon the name of that one God as our ancestors and elders have done for countless generations, for time immemorial. Let us all say together, Amen. You are the most beautiful people on the face of this earth. Ashe.
Ashe.